Beartooth Highway. This stretch of US 212 between Red Lodge and Cook City, Montana, zigzags across the Montana-Wyoming border through a series of steep switchbacks, rising from about 5,000 feet to 10,947 feet at the Beartooth Pass. It's so high that it's closed in winter due to snow, but in the summer months offers the best motorcycling in the country. The top of the world store sits at 9,400 feet on the Beartooth Highway. It's 38 miles from Red Lodge, Montana, and 25 miles from Cook City in Montana, which is 6 miles from the northeast entrance to Yellowstone. The store was built on Beartooth Lake and moved to its present location in the early 60s. It's located in the Shoshone National Forest, which has ample amounts of camping, hiking, four-wheeling and fishing opportunities through the summer season. When the highway closes in October, the recreation changes to ice fishing, snowmobiling, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing and snowboarding.
Straddling the borders of two US states, Montana and Wyoming, the Absaroka Range straight ahead is a collection of 399 named mountains, the highest of which is Franks Peak, 13,158 feet, and the most prominent of which is Granite Peak, 12,776 feet. The Absarokas run in a northwest-southeast direction from Livingston, Montana to Du Bois, Wyoming, and cover an area about 150 miles long and 75 miles wide. They are a sub-range of the Greater Yellowstone Rockies in Wyoming and Montana and are crossed by the Continental Divide in the southern part of the range.
Located just east of the Yellowstone National Park, the Absarokas form the park's eastern boundary near Paradise Valley and are situated to the west of Bighorn Basin and the Bighorn Mountains. The Absarokas are also located north of the Wind River Range, south of the Beartooth Mountains and just east of the Teton Range. In the western part of the range, the Absarokas transitioned into a high plateau known as Union Pass, where they form an intersection with the Grand Ventre Range and the Wind River Range.
As one of the largest single ranges in Montana and Wyoming, the Absarokas are home to a number of well-known peaks, including Pilot Peak, Mount Cowan, Avalanche Peak, and Emigrant Peak, many of which are found close to highways or within Yellowstone National Park. Within the Absarokas, there are countless trails, particularly near Yellowstone. However, there are plenty of remote, trailless sections of the range that are perfect for a backcountry adventure. The Chief Joseph Scenic Byway, Wyoming State Highway 296, links the town of Cody with the Beartooth Highway and the northeast gate of Yellowstone National Park. The route crosses the Shoshone National Forest through the Absaroka Mountains to the Clarks Fork Valley. The 47 paved mile of the Scenic Byway run from the junction with US 120, 17 miles north of Cody, northwest to their connection with US 212, the Beartooth Highway. The Beartooth Mountains and the Clarks Fork of the Yellowstone River lie to the north of the road, and the Absaroka Mountains and North Absaroka Wilderness are to the south.
The most predictable times to ride this highway are during the fall and summer. During the winter months, snow ploughs keep the roadway open to just east of the entrance to Yellowstone National Park. Joseph Scenic Byway is named after the Native American chief of the Nez Perce tribe. Following the Battle of the Big Hole in Idaho in 1877, Chief Joseph fled east through Yellowstone. He and 1,000 members of his tribe ran from the U.S. cavalry, who were trying to force the tribe onto a reservation so that white ranchers could have their lands. While crossing Yellowstone, the Nez Perce briefly captured several tourists before going north up the Clarks Fork River. The Nez Perce were trying to flee to Canada, an 1,800-mile trek, but surrendered after the 6-day Battle of the Bear Paw in northeastern Montana.
The tribe was stopped only 30 miles from their destination, the Canadian border. In his speech of surrender, Chief Joseph expressed dignity and defeat with his famous words,
"Hear me, my chiefs. I am tired. My heart is sick and sad. From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever."
The Nez Perce tribe were forced onto reservations in Oklahoma and Washington state despite promises to allow them back on their lands.
Bridges in Wyoming may not draw as much attention as the likes of San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge, but Wyoming bridges provide spectacular views that will outrank the best of them. Sunlight Creek Bridge is the highest bridge in Wyoming and just also happens to offer one of the most spectacular views you'll find anywhere. It stretches out over a narrow and deep canyon with the beautiful Sunlight Creek. Looking straight down from the bridge, you really get the feel of how deep the canyon really is. The basin got its name from prospectors or fur traders in the early 1800s who were trapped in the area on a foggy day. All of a sudden, a bright sunlit valley appeared to them. That's how it got its name, the Sunlight Basin.
Dead Indian Pass is one of Wyoming's many mountain passes, but few have the scenery and the history that matches the Absaroka Mountains Road. As the Chief Joseph Scenic Highway climbs into the Absaroka Mountains, it reaches a height of over 8,000 feet along a winding high mountain pass. The pass's morbid name comes from the flight of the Nez Perce Indians who retreated to the Absaroka Mountains after being chased from their homes.
The Native Americans were surrounded and trapped, so they created a diversion before heading on a perilous trek down Dead Indian Gulch towards the Clark Fork River. The gulch was a narrow and steep pass with a 1,000-foot vertical drop, and the trail was only a few feet wide.
pursued by several hundred soldiers led by General O. Howard. Chief Joseph led 700 Nez Perce men, women and children and 2,000 horses through Yellowstone Park eastward and into the Absaroka Mountains. From the Absarokas, the Indians looked for a route to the Great Plains. However, the US Army had anticipated that the Nez Perce would attempt to break out of the mountains onto the plains and had stationed General Samuel D. Sturgis and 600 cavalry near the base of the mountains to intercept the Indians. Sturgis's force was strategically placed where he could move quickly south or north toward known trails along Clark's Fork or the Shoshone River.
Sturgis discounted the Clark Fork exit from the mountains, finding that no trail could positively lead through it. The lower several miles at Clark's Fork passed through a narrow canyon with vertical walls.
On September 8, 1877, the Nez Perce reached Dead Indian Pass, about 6 miles from Sturgis's force on the plains below. Their advance scouts observed the soldiers far below awaiting their appearance. If the Indians took the open and easy route to reach the plains, they would be easily visible. Instead, they attempted a difficult maneuver to mislead the soldiers. They feinted going south toward the Shoshone River by milling their horses in a big circle to kick up visible dust and sell Sturgis on the idea that they were heading south. Then, invisible to Army scouts, they sneaked back north, concealed by heavy timber, and traversed Dead Indian Gulch down to the Clark Forks River. Dead Indian Gulch was a narrow, steep-sided slit in the rock, dropping almost vertically for 1,000 feet and barely wide enough for 2 horses to go side by side.
Sturgis took the bait and led his soldiers away from the Clark's Fork and headed south to the Shoshone. The Nez Perce passed out onto the Great Plains unopposed. Sturgis quickly realised his error and turned around. He met up with Howard on September 11, who had descended the Clark's Fork following the Nez Perce route, but 2 military forces were now 2 days and 50 miles behind the Nez Perce. The US Army would not finally come and defeat the Nez Perce until a month later at the Battle of Beartooth.
Battle of Bearpaw, also sometimes called Battle of the Bear's Paw or Battle of the Bear's Paw Mountains, was the final engagement of the Nez Perce War of 1877. Following a 1,200-mile running fight from north-central Idaho Territory over the previous 4 months, the US Army managed to corner most of the Napiers, led by Chief Joseph, in early October 1877 in northern Montana Territory, just 42 miles south of the border with Canada, where the Napiers intended to seek refuge from persecution by the US government. Although some of the Napiers were able to escape to Canada, Chief Joseph was forced to surrender the majority of his followers to Brigadier General Oliver Howard and Colonel Nelson A. Miles on October the 5th. Today, the battlefield is part of the Napiers National Historical Park and the Napiers National Historical Trail.
Belfry is a town in Carbon County, Montana. The population is around 218. It's located approximately 11 miles from the Wyoming border and roughly halfway between Billings, Montana and Cody, Wyoming. At its peak in the early 1900s, a railway line came into Belfry with a spur running up to the coal mines in Bear Creek. When the mines closed down and the railway line was removed, Belfry's population dropped to its current level. Currently the community has a general store, a bar, a restaurant, and a small bar, restaurant, casino. The town of Bear Creek was named for the waterway, Bear Creek, which runs through the middle of town. Bear Creek came into existence due to coal mines and grew rapidly following the building of a short line railroad connecting the Bear Creek mines to the Northern Pacific's Railroad in 1906. Between 1906 and 1953, the mines at Bear Creek produced large volumes of coal, which was a higher grade than the other regional sources from the extensive underground coal mining deposits. The mines were located along the creek and also the surrounding coulees. The development of the coal mines after 1906 drew miners to the area. They came from other parts of America and from Serbia, Montenegro, Germany, Scotland and Italy. The recent immigrants built separate ethnic-based communities in the steep coulees that ran down into Bear Creek, with names like Washoe, New Caledonia, Chicken Town, Scotch Coulee, International and Stringtown. At one time in the 1920s and 1930s, the population of Bear Creek combined with the other surrounding small communities was close to 3,000 persons. Bear Creek and the surrounding communities had 7 mercantiles, a bank, 2 hotels, 2 billiard halls, a brickyard, numerous saloons, and Bear Creek sported concrete sidewalks and their own water system. Allegedly, the town had no churches. The economy of Bear Creek was purely based on coal. The Smith mine disaster in 1943, followed by the decline in demand for coal in the late 1940s and 1950s, caused the closure of the connecting railroad in 1953 and subsequently most of the coal mines, and the population declined steadily to less than 100 persons. Many buildings in Bear Creek and the surrounding communities were moved to the town or demolished, and only a few structures remain.
nobody's guest. Don't ask me for my reason, don't ask me for my rhymes. I'm packing up and headed down the line. I wanna go where the mountains meet the sea. I wanna go where the tide's beneath my feet. I'll say goodbye to good old Tennessee. I'll say goodbye. I'll say goodbye to you and me.
Morning everyone, we're back in Red Lodge after doing Beartooth Pass this morning and Chief Joseph Highway in a loop back through Belfry and into Red Lodge, where we have just said goodbye to our Arkansas friends. They've still got 4 nights on the road and we've made some really good friends in that group. Pretty sad to say bye, but I'm sure we'll all keep in touch. So Red Lodge is a historic coal town, and just behind me is the Carbon County Bank that in 1897 Sundance Kid from the Wild Bunch gang attempted to rob it, and it was foiled by the sheriff of the time, and they had a chase of 80 miles before they were captured. They had just escaped from a jail before they attempted the robbery. Wild.
I can't pretend that I won't think about your heart down the road. This I know, this I know. 'Cause I wanna go where mountains meet the sea. And I wanna go where the tide's beneath my feet. And I'll say goodbye to